Hey YouTube, today we're going to be looking at one of the most recognizable iconic pistols ever made. And what we have here in front of us, we have a Desert Eagle 50 AE. And before we get started, I'm going to show you there's nothing in this pistol and we are clear to make this video. Now what we have here is a Desert Eagle 50 caliber, and this particular one happens to be in a stainless steel finish. And I know they make them in every different kind of finish known to man. They make them gold plated, tiger striped, Cerakoted black, all this, but this is the one that I chose to go with. This is a stainless steel one. I think it gives it the most clean look. Now, I've showed a Desert Eagle before on this channel, and it was not mine. This one happens to be mine. Mine's a little different than the one I showed before, and I'll go over some of the differences here in a minute. I've just gotten a lot of requests about people showing a Desert Eagle, and I figured I'd pull this thing out, and we'll talk about it a little bit. So these guns came out around 1983. They were developed by Magnum Research, and they were available in 357 Magnum, 44 Magnum, 50 AE, and a couple oddball calibers like a 41 Magnum, and there's a couple other ones that I can't think of right offhand. I don't have a fact sheet here in front of me that I go off of, but the most common ones are 357, 44, and 50 caliber. And a lot of people say you don't have a Desert Eagle unless you have the 50 caliber one. I think that's true. If you're going to buy something this big and massive, you might as well get the most powerful one. Now, what is the 50 AE cartridge? Well, it's plain and simple. The 50 AE cartridge is the most powerful semi-automatic handgun cartridge available on the market today. Now, there are more powerful cartridges like the 500 Smith & Wesson, stuff like that, and a revolver, but in a semi-automatic box-fed, magazine-fed pistol, this is the most powerful one. Now, the ballistics on a 50 AE is absolutely impressive. The ballistics, you can expect, you can get some pretty hot stuff, and it can be moving around 15 to 1600 feet per second. A 50 caliber half-inch slug, I mean, that is absolutely huge. Look at the muzzle to this thing. It's absolutely huge, and the energy produced in that can be 16 to 1700 pounds of energy at the muzzle, and that's absolutely nuts, folks. I mean, this thing is absolutely a powerhouse. Now, the one I showed before was a little bit older one, but this one here has some of the things that I like on it. Now, it has a Picatinny rail on the top and a Picatinny rail on the bottom, and it has an integrated muzzle brake. And that muzzle brake helps for the muzzle flip. When you're firing this thing, it helps tame down some of the recoil. And the recoil on this thing isn't quite as bad as you would think, but it's no walk in the park to shoot this. It's not something that you want to take your 100-pound girlfriend out and tell her to shoot it one-handed while you video it and try to make a YouTube short on it. That's not what you can. You got to respect something like this because of the power that you have in your hands. Now, let's go over some of the stuff about this thing. It's a box-fed magazine, and this thing holds 7 rounds of 50 AE. So if you carried one in the chamber, it's going to have an 8-round capacity, which is more than all the big bore revolvers that are on the market today. So that's an advantage over this one is the capacity. One of the other advantages, just like with every other revolver, this thing's going to have a lot faster reloads than a revolver because you just drop the magazine, put another magazine in, and you're back in business instead of loading cylinders up on the side. Now, this is a single action only pistol, so it's very similar to like a 1911, the way it operates. So you would charge this thing like this, and the hammer would be open, and if you were a man and you wanted to carry this around, you have a safety, and it's ambidextrous. So it happens on both sides, the safety on it. So you would put the safety on, and this gun will not go off. So it's a little bit unconventional if you were to train with this thing and use it as a carry gun, because you have to push your safety up to put it in the fire mode, and it has kind of like a 2-stage trigger to it. So you're going to go back like this, and you're going to hit the wall. You'll feel it go like this, hit the wall, and it goes off. It's got about a 4.5 pound to 5 pound trigger pull, and your reset's a little long, and there's a little bit of shake up, and it goes off again. So it's pretty cool. It's got a slide release right here, or a slide stop. I don't like to call them a slide release. So when you move this thing back, this actually catches it, and you have it wide open like this, and you just release a slide just like that, and then you're back in business. Now, on the bottom here, it has like a beveled magwell for speed loads. It helps you if you're competition shooting with this, load this magazine in it. I like magwells on guns a lot, so I carry them. I put them on a lot of the 1911s that I have. Now, if you're an accessory person, this Picatinny rail on the bottom allows you to put any kind of light, laser, anything you want on the top. It's not like the modern guns. They have the optic cutouts. You have to put some type of optic that goes on a Picatinny rail. Now, it's got this muzzle brake on the front of it that really helps out with the recoil, because this thing does have a massive amount of recoil, but this thing does throw fire out of it like you've never seen before on this, and it throws percussion out the side, and everybody at the range knows you're shooting a 50 caliber when you shoot this thing. So the sights on it are pretty nice. It just has regular fixed sights on them, and they're kind of like a dovetail kind of sights that press in through the side, kind of like a 1911, or some of your more modern striker fire guns are just blackout, pretty simple, and it does seem to be pretty accurate on it. It doesn't have any kind of beaver tail, or well, it does have a beaver tail. It doesn't have any kind of grip safety like a 1911, but it does have this beaver tail, so the hammer doesn't come down and hit you. I don't think that would be a problem anyway, but it does have that. Now, some of the unique features about this gun is this thing operates sort of different than any other pistol that most people own. So if you'll look at it really close, the slide actually moves on the bottom. This whole top part right here is the fixed barrel in it. So this is the actual part that's the slide. And let me get this locked open, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about with the unique features on this thing. So if you'll look in here, this thing has a actual bolt that looks just like an AR bolt on it. So it's got a rotating bolt that goes in and fits into the barrel here. So it's more operates like a rifle. And this thing is gas operated. So gas runs through the bottom of the barrel, and that's what operates this pistol. Same as a rifle, sort of like an AR-15. So the bolt kind of looks like an AR-15 or the M16 style variant rifle, and it kind of operates like a Mini 14, the actual bolt does. So it's very unique design. And a lot of people want to know if these are reliable. Well, I've never had any problems with reliability out of a Desert Eagle, but there have been people known to have a couple problems with Desert Eagles, and mostly that is aftermarket magazines. Like I say with everything, if you're going to get magazines, get the ones that are made for the gun. Most semi-automatic guns that have reliability issues usually fall within the magazine. It's usually pretty simple to fix. Now, is it as reliable as a big bore revolver? Well, no semi-automatic gun am I ever going to say is reliable as a revolver, but this thing seems to be pretty reliable. Now, why did I choose this particular one? Well, I'm a stainless steel pistol guy, and I really like stainless steel, and this particular one just looks cool with this rail on the bottom, the rail on top, and this muzzle brake on it, and that's the one that I choose to get. Now, it comes with these rubber grips on them, and I think that really helps out with holding on to this thing and managing this recoil. You can get a variety of different grips. There's an aftermarket support. It's pretty large with the Desert Eagle because it's so vastly popular across the States and the world, for that matter. It's been in all these video games and movies and TV shows and stuff. So the Desert Eagle is a pretty popular gun, so there's a lot of aftermarket support out there, and people do crazy stuff to them, make them look wild with all these different colors and everything. I'm just not going to choose to do that kind of stuff. Now, versatility. They have several variants of this thing that's came out over the years. They started off with the Mark 1, and then they changed that over to the Mark 7, and you got to where you could start changing barrels on them. This is the latest version. This is called the Mark 19, and this is the latest one, and you can actually buy the barrel and bolts to make this 357 Magnum, 44 Magnum, or 50 caliber. You could have all three barrel kits to make this thing all 3 different calibers. Now, I'm not choosing to do that because I have other weapons that shoot those calibers, and I'm one of the few people in the world that also thinks if you have a Desert Eagle, you need to have the 50 caliber one. Now, what can this be used for? Folks, I'm going to be honest with you, it's mainly a novelty. This is one of the things that husbands always want, and they don't ever want to tell their wives because there's no reason to really own it. A handgun this powerful is not really that practical. If you were to use this in home defense, it would actually go through your house. I mean, that's just absolutely ridiculous, and you're going to hurt somebody that doesn't need to be hurt. The recoil, where it isn't as much as like a Smith & Wesson 500, it is a little bit harder to get back on target fast, because of the power of the cartridge, but it's pretty practical. As a range gun, yes, that I could see that as a use for it. Why not have it as a range gun and take it out? But it is wildly expensive to shoot. You're looking at $2 to $3 per round just to feed this thing, and that money can add up pretty quick if you're not extremely wealthy. Now, as far as cost, these things are not cheap, folks. This is a large block of steel that requires a lot of milling and machining to go on there, so the cost to build one of these things is not very cheap. So, you're looking at, probably around $2,000+ to buy one just like this in the stainless steel with all the muzzle brake and all that stuff on it. So they're not cheap, and a lot of people are going to shy away from them because of the price. But there's a lot of disadvantages also to this, from like carrying it. If you were carrying this out into the woods for like bear protection and stuff, it's absolutely good for that. But I would prefer something that's 100% reliable if I have a charging grizzly bear coming at me, and use like a revolver. Plus, this thing weighs over 4 pounds, and it's heavy even in a chest rig carrying it. So they're available in 6-inch barrels, and I believe they make a 10-inch barrel one also. This one happens to be the 6-inch one, and 50 caliber. So they do make a couple different size barrels on these things, but very good gun. I mean, it's very well made. Like, they've been made in the United States since 2010, made by Car Arms, acquired Magnum Research, and they've been made in the United States since 2010. So it's kind of cool to say you have a 100% American-made gun of this caliber. It's pretty cool. They started off being made in Israel up until I think 2010. I think when they came out, they were all produced in Israel by IWI. But this one is not one of those. This is an American-made one by Car Arms. Very neat gun, very iconic gun. A lot of people recognize them just by that odd shape, that triangular shape, and that big bore up front. And if you're going to buy something large like this, I recommend just getting the 50 caliber one. I mean, you can buy 44 Magnums and 357 Magnums all day long, and you can spend a lot less money than you would buy one of these, and people really aren't going to recognize it. Everybody recognizes a Desert Eagle because of all the movies they've been in and everything. But my final take on this, is it a cool gun? I think it's an extremely cool gun. If it wasn't a cool gun, I wouldn't own it here. I wouldn't spend this kind of money to own something that I didn't think was cool. And I like a variety of different firearms, and I like them all. I wish I could own every one of them. But unfortunately, I'm not absolutely made of money, and I can't own every firearm on the earth. But if you have any questions on this Desert Eagle 50 caliber, feel free to reach out to me. I'm not an expert on it. I just know enough to be dangerous with these things. And we'll do some comparisons to a couple big bore revolvers here in the near future. See what we think, how it stacks up against that. And anyway, folks, thank you very much for watching my video today. And you folks have a great day.